Hi folks, Arty here. This is 2 videos in one. Giving you guys a quick update on my expansion and going back to basics for track laying and wiring up for a DCC system. So let's start with what I've done. So as you can see, I put down a balsa wood down in here, which is going to be my road. It's 3mm thick, and I've tapered it off the ends to give it a bit of a crown. Now, this little section here is going to be, for now it's going to be like a cattle yard. But I'm going to do it so I can actually change the scene in it. So what I'm going to do is this is going to be able to be removed and put another scene on top. But primarily for the start, that's going to be a cattle yard. Okay, now in the distance, so let me get over here and get my little fat gut through the little gap. Okay, so there's the road here. It's going to continue on across the railway line. I'm going to put a little pub in here, a couple of little shops, and I've actually decided to put a petrol station or a gas station here, and I'm going to have a little dirt track coming up in here next to the servo and behind it, and also another alternative access into the diesel facility. So this is just about ready for the road bit. I'm just waiting for my material to dry. So what I've been doing, I've been planning things out. I'm going to have a signal here and a signal here for the trains going that way. Now there is going to be another signal placed here for the trains entering the yard. Now there'll be also another signal placed here where it's going to give me the clearance to go straight or up in the cattle yard. Now, most of your viewers in Australia, in America, probably been hearing us about having issues of getting tracks and points, switches and whatnot. Yes. Now I've been wanting to get a small left-hand turnout. I only managed to get one small one, but that has to go into the diesel shed to replace this broken one. So now what I'm going to do is, I do have a medium-sized Pico one, and I'm going to put that in here. And after I've been doing some thinking, I might be better off with a medium-sized one here, because this scene here, I can actually remove it because it's screwed down and put it somewhere on the layout later when I expand. So it's not going to go to waste. So I'll put a medium turnout there. I can get decent size inches to go through. So without any further ado, I'm going to go in the next section and work on the basic track laying. So I've got all my goodies here. I've got my, I'll show you what I've done with my turnout. Now what I do with my turnouts, if you can see here, I'm going to try to get a focus. Now you see I put a little phosphorus bronze wire. Keeps going to focus. You've got a little phosphorus bronze wire. Now these are my feeder wires for insulation point. This is a Pico insulating point. Okay, and what that does is it gives you a feed between that track and that one and that one. So you got continuous power coming up through this section here, and of course up here in the frog as well. Now I haven't painted this up. Now when you fit one of these Pico points, they have a little spring up in here, a locking spring, from when you throw the turnouts. Right, it's supposed to lock in. Now to use a tortoise motor like what I am on this one, you have to take that out. Okay, so I'm going to put it roughly about where it's going to be. I already pre-drill the hole before I paint it, so I know roughly where it's going to go. And I'm going to cut some track as well. Okay. Okay. So here we are. We're now when you do your wiring, it's always handy to know which side, or keep to a standard which side your red wire is, which I call my positive, and the black wire, which is negative, which I call negative. So now that I've got the holes in place, I feed the wire through like so. This one in here. Get underneath it. Pull the wire through. Make sure you don't get yourself tangled up. Feed your wire through, and that's more or less going to stay in place now, where it is, like so. Okay, that's that one in. I haven't tacked it in yet, that's going to come later. So my next stage now is to set up my straight here. Cut this one out like so. Now what I'm going to do here is, before I go any further, if anyone's asking why is my cork not moving, it's because I already glued it down. Now, because I've got a join in here, what I'm going to do is, I want to have this bit of track to go over. I'm trying to make the longer piece of track as possible on it, so to avoid any dips or whatnot. Now, this track here has already got isolation gaps in it. It's got one here and one here. But we'll just pretend we are starting from here up. So if you want to do this as a block, you need an insulation gap here. And as I found, it is actually handy to have an insulation gap by the switch, because this switch is already going to have power on with the valve feed that you dropped underneath. So it doesn't matter if you actually isolate it here. It's going to come in handy for when you do your block signals, or for your BD20s to trigger off the railway crossing. It's going to come here, which is going to be down the track. Alright, so just going and get my side cutter to pull out these nails. So just bear with me for a minute. So here you got, I've still got to get the fish plates on, but now what I do with my isolation, this is going to be my red wire, this track here. So I'm putting an insulating joint in there, so that's going to isolate this track. On this end, I'm putting two double fish plates, because that's already soldered on. The wire's already soldered on there, and that's going down into the feed. So I am going to put this into place, and we'll get ready for the next step. So there you have it. The track is now pretty much in its place. It's isolated here and isolated here. So this track here, this track itself on its own, you can say you can make it as a separate section from completely everything else. So now I'm going to reposition the camera, and I'm going to do the other part of the track. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put what's going to be the future main in here. I'm going to put that into place, and then I will cut the video from there. So now what I'm going to do is repeat the process. What I've done here. So I'm just going to mark the track. It's going to be here and here. Use a snip. Okay, I'm going to cheat. Usually what I do is when I join these flex tracks up after a cut, what I tend to do is I tend to cut the gaps in here where the plastic is and slide the ties or sleepers up a bit, feed the fish plates in. Then once the track's in place, I can actually manoeuvre the ties in its place. But for now, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to use the other side. As you see here, it's already more or less prepped. So, just going to see how it fits the size. Yep, that's going to fit in nicely. Now, I don't have any buffers, but it is going to be a continued track. One thing I like about Pico is, like with their big set tracks, you get these things in it. And these come in handy when you're doing temporary track laying, or even permanent if you wish. Give them as buffers. So, and they just put an end to the line, so it just slips into the track like so. And there you have, you've got to stop for your train in the yard. Okay, right, now on this side I've got to repeat the work similar to what I've done at the other end. put on this side here is going to be, I'm only going to put a metal joiner on one side, like so. And I do have some amongst my mess here. Another plastic joiner, here it is. They get hard to see, so I'm going to use this plastic join. And with the plastic join, and you need to put it on this bit here, I only need to put it on one bit, one track, one line like that. That's ready. So now all I've got to do is feed the track in. I'll join it up. It's going to be fun because I didn't allow myself enough room. Smoothness, and that's done. Now all I got to do now is for this bit here, because it's going to be an experimental bit for my block signalling. Now all that this track needs a feeder wire to go from the side and down underneath. But what I might do is I might actually divide this up into two sections. I might put another gap here down the track somewhere. So that means I'm going to have two feeder wires just for one side of the track. Still got this side to do. Just going to give it a rough outline. So it's pretty close to the way I want it. It's not too sharp of a radius. Do it by eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this off camera and do the same here. I'm going to isolate one side of the track and have power come to the other bit, and I'll join it all up. Now if you want to do a block system, which we'll work out later on, for your circuitry in a complete different zone, well I'll call them zones, then what you do is you isolate both tracks, but that's going to be somewhere down the track, which I will show when I start doing the expansion. Because what I'll be doing later on down the line is split my layout into zones. So if there's an electrical fault problem in that zone, I know where to trace it. So I'm going to leave it from here. And stay tuned. Shortly I will have the basic wiring on how to wire this up. The simple, easy way for DCC wiring underneath. Okay, no JMRI, no nothing, just the NCE system, a simple plug and play setup, and off we go. Alright, so stay tuned for that.